Absolutely. Could you kind of just take us back, if you will, to 2007, where you were talking about one of your interviews where you came off the success of The Best of Me and all these songs that you had, Lady Marmalade, and just being a superstar, at your time. But then you took the journey into being independent. Can you take us through that just a little bit, taking a journey out of the mainstream to the independent world?
Yeah, in 2007, I was signed within the Universal Music System to Motown, and that was the R&B label that I transitioned to from Interscope, which was a rap and rock label at the time. And so 2007 was slated to be the year of release for my fourth major label album called Liberation. And when they changed the release date, I think about a third time, it actually accidentally released in Japan, which is the furthest territory in the world to receive music at that time. And then it leaked everywhere online. And so then it got shelved. So instead of going to court to sue from a back end advance, since the album was actually out in the universe, you can do that. I just decided that I wasn't going to do that and just go independent, whatever that meant. And quickly I was offered a deal in Japan to executive produce my own albums on my own masters. And I said, well, the opportunity is here. Let me do that. So I did that 3 times with a double disc on the third. And then I started releasing a mixtape as well as EPs and more albums stateside and worldwide. And then I just really haven't looked back. It's been a total of 9 or 10 independent projects total. And I'm looking, to realign myself with a major label one day, but I've definitely wanted to make sure that my fans have enough projects just in case the same thing happens over and over again. And I wouldn't go back as an artist, but I would go back as my own label and get, a partnership situation done.
Right. Probably about 4 years ago, I was 33, October 2016, I started traveling into the world of being a vegan. I was tired of meat. I was always into nutrition. So I wanted to try this thing called a meatless plant-based diet, being a vegan. And I think that was around the time. And this is one of the parts about social media that I do enjoy, because one thing that I got to watch you do is kind of give these guides on vegan diets and vegan and plant-based diets and different ways to kind of transition from a meat diet to a plant-based diet. And I thought that was awesome. What propelled you to get into veganism?
Well, I have progressed into veganism from vegetarian life after a toxic relationship. I had gained all this weight. Uh-huh. And when I left that relationship, I said I was going to go back to doing what I was doing before I got into it, and then just take it a step further to not only get me back, but to be better. And it led me to veganism through a willpower challenge. And so I'd been annually practicing these willpower challenges anyways, just to test my discipline when I started my independent journey in the music business, because I knew I would need to be my own manager, my own lawyer, my own this, my own bank, my own everything. Mm-hmm. And so vegan was one of those things that stemmed from vegetarianism as well. Stripping something away that you really, really love or you think you can't do without opens new doors to things that only add to your life. When I initially, I would say, defined it or thought it might be a subtraction. So it's kept me young. It's kept me clear in my mind and my spirit. Physically, I don't have to work out as hard, but it's really been a blessing. And I've been able to share it and, assist other people making the transition with the free starter guide that I'll offer on my website, myamaya.com, in the lifestyle section. And then we do these monthly challenges every year online together via social media.
What's some of the positive feedback that you've gotten from that? I'm sure that you've changed many lives. What's some of the maybe some of the comments that stuck out to you most?
Well, we all love food. I love to cook, you know.
Yeah, you had some tacos yesterday out there. I was like, damn.
I really love food. I have a strong relationship with food, and I always have. But I love cooking as well. It's very therapeutic, and I've been able to connect in a deeper way outside of just music with my fans in a very normal way. I invite them inside of my kitchen. I've been able to host retreats. I've been able to spend days at a time with fans, if not a whole week vacation and retreats for the winners. And they've been able to cast their coworkers or friends and family into leading a healthy lifestyle. So it's sort of like a domino effect and word of mouth or sharing. And that's what I want, because it's only made their lives better. And they've either lost weight or reversed their anemia or even diabetes. And there's a lot of beautiful things that's happened through this journey that I never thought I would be sharing in this type of way. So now I'm, considering in the space of healing in my future outside of just music,
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit and talk about, your journey once again from, the majors to independent, because you came out at a time where you had people like Aaliyah, Brandy, Monica, and you were talking about Jimmy Iovine and him not really knowing what to do with an R&B singer. Can you kind of talk about that? And you also said, I think that R&B kind of transitioned to trap. So can you kind of just go back into how R&B kind of disappeared and how these labels didn't really know what to do with R&B singers back in those times?
Well, I think R&B was an amazing supported art form, but I was kind of like the test dummy on Interscope because they didn't have an R&B department yet. It was strictly a rap and rock label, with Death Row and the Dogtown and Marilyn Manson. And so this young R&B teenager girl in the midst of all of that to try to figure that out when it didn't even exist. I guess that was a brain fart in a way for a lot of executives, because it's a business and you want to make sure that it works if you're going to put money into something. So it was never fully done, but they were still a great label, great, soundtracks that they produced. I had a lot of opportunities to do collaborations because we were just trying to figure it out. How are we going to make this work outside of just solo songs? And they made it work, surprisingly, because it was sort of a test. I wasn't even signed for my whole first album because I was a test, because they didn't know, But then you get turfed off to other people and other labels, sub labels that don't necessarily get R&B either. And so it becomes a little weird. And, I was able to smoothly transition and keep my relationships at Interscope because it wasn't anything devastating or ugly. I transitioned to a label that actually does Black music and R&B, and that was Motown, within the same umbrella, of Universal Music Group. So everything was good. Everything was clear. Love Jimmy to this day. And very thankful for the major label system because they did a lot for my early career. Yeah.
You said also, I heard you talking about how it was more lucrative for you to be independent rather than the majors. Did that have anything to do with you switching over, maybe because it just wasn't what you thought it was as far as with splits and things like that in publishing with the majors?
Well, no, my mother was very informed, and she's a self-taught woman, and she's read all of Donald Passman's books, everything you need to know about the music industry, etc., music business. And my parents have been in the music industry since my dad was a teenager. He's been in it as well. And so my mother has always run the business side of things, the accounting, knows about publishing way more than I even know to this day, is a lawyer part-time. I mean, she does it all. So I was very informed on how things work. It's just when you're an artist and a new artist trying to prove yourself, you don't really have much pull or say while you're trying to just seal your deals and seal your presence and how you belong. You also don't control the budget and how it's used. So there are a lot of extras, like people going to dinner on behalf of, Mya or whatever artist it is, taking limos and private jets, and that all is audited at the end of the day if you do want to do an audit. And it's a big lump sum of change. So you really don't have the control over what's going in to your project, what's being spent, unless you are independent, but you're also the financier as well. And that's a different type of grind. You got to be willing to get dirty. You got to be willing to go in some places that a lot of people don't want you in, because you're financing everything and everybody, and everything costs. So, I mean, I've been willing because I love music that much, and nothing has come in between that. But it's just a different ball game when you are in control.